Welcome to New Heaven Builders. It's November 1st, 2017.
And yes, welcome. And we're here to ascend as New Heaven Builders to see what is before us today. So, yeah, I just have a sense of maybe us just in the spirit, just agreeing to hold hands in a circle as we're multidimensional beings outside of space and time. We get to do that. And together we choose to step in through the gate of Jesus into everything that his blood has purchased for us. So we come through Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life, the true door, into the heavenly realms. We close off any ungodly portals. We welcome and invite the seven spirits of God and Lady Wisdom and her handmaidens, who I'm kind of sensing a little bit of excitement from. And we choose to come together, and in Tree of Life group, Bill always talks about a conference room, but I always picture it in a circle of trees and people sitting comfortably there as a starting place. And I'm just sensing a river nearby. Couldn't tell you which one exactly, but from here we just invite our precious Savior and Lord. We know our Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are among us and in us and holding us together. And I even also have the sense of unity already, which is different to start off with right away. But I kind of had it all day, this sense of oneness, perhaps the bench of one, but just a flowing together of us all in the Spirit of God, led and directed by him. So everyone is recognized as a king and a priest. You are valuable. I just speak over everyone that you have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart that understands as the sons of God. And so what you are seeing or perceiving in whatever form, you are welcome and invited to share so that we can all together sense and come into what God is calling us to tonight. So if anyone's got a picture or an impression, please share. Thanks. I'm just continuing with this sense of connectedness and of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and the seven spirits, and wisdom, and these others. And I perceive Jesus standing kind of among us here, and it's not a words impartation, but like he's looking at us really strong. And it's a showing us, or a revelation of connection. We thank you for this connection and revelation of our oneness in you and through you and among you and with one another. And if you have something you want us to do with that, or just flow in that, we are available here to do your will.
Bob has typed something in the chat, Quinn. Just a FYI.
Thanks. There's a couple of chats there. Bob wrote, I see us standing together in a high place, like a mountain area, but it's a garden. We are in a circle. There is a bright one with us. Yeah, that's very much what I was seeing too. And Donna shared, I do see Jesus with us, but as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. And as we're flowing in him, perhaps there's something kingly for us today. Has anyone got a sense of what mountain we might be on? Because I saw, it seemed Jesus kind of swept his arm broadly and showed us thrones along this mountain. They might be thrones of things we already occupy or something for us corporately here.
What I heard first was Horeb.
Do you know anything about Horeb?
Not so much.
Is it another name for a mountain we're more familiar with, or is it its own thing, I wonder? Do a quick check. Well, that's interesting. Mount Horeb is the mountain where Moses received the 10 Commandments. And that makes me think of the laws, the new laws of Zion, and I guess the new laws we've been part of building into New Heaven.
Yeah. Like the intention that each city is made of is like the laws of old, but it's a new style, new way of doing and understanding.
And Jesus is like nodding with his head now. Yeah, those thrones over there. So is there a city for us today? Oh, and Frederick has more insight. It's the site where Moses may have received the 10 Commandments, thought to mean glowing or heat. And Bob says, it looks like this is the religion mountain. I'm thinking of the 7 mountain model. Okay, so the different ways of doing, perhaps we need to do a mountain that replaces religion with relationship. That's just off the top of my head anyway. Anything flashing across anybody else's mind?
One of the things I've just been shown is that instead of creating a city, another way is you write the whatever you see a mandate for a new heaven and new earth, you write it on the sapphire cube, which is where Moses received the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
And I got revelation that it was actually a way of creating a new day, which is one of the realms in the is to come.
Well, we really need a new day in religion in this world.
Well, I was seeing a prism cube, a cube with prism type light.
Pretty colors.
It is pretty. And that was before Jane had mentioned the cube.
Yeah, no, that resonates. What? Do you have any sense of what to do with it, Kathy?
Well, at first I thought we were to go in it, kind of like Metatron's cube, or even the Sapphire cube. But I'm not sure because of the different colors. It might be like an impartation or something.
Wisdom, will you show us? Or Spirit of Knowledge, or Jesus, all you guys. We're here, we want to understand what we're being shown, and we place great honor on it, and we're thankful. Please direct us in what to do.
I'm getting the sense that if we hold the cube with intention, it actually gets written upon like super heavenly printing style, but inside in 3 dimensions. And I think it's done with intersecting light. But when you hold it up after it's been inscribed in this way, you can like read it.
That explains the prism, and that kind of really resonates too as just a writing what's on our heart, because there can be such striving and try to figure out what to say and how to say it, but to hold it and to impart what's in your heart into it.
That could have been how the commandments were written. Wow. on the cube in the same manner.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm getting a sense that these The reason why it has a prism kind of reflection is because these cubes are of a higher level or higher quality, and it speaks of their pureness, or how let's see if they're really high level, and it's like these are the new standard. It's of a higher standard because we're creating it's because they're coming up. They're what's being you. I'm trying to articulate it because they're being used to create the new day. And this is a higher level, a higher standard, a higher purity than before. That's what I'm sensing.
Wow. And Bob also asked if the colors, he says the colors are associated with gifts. Could that be a reference? And the thing that you say prism, and a prism separates and reveals all the colors within white light, right? So it's, again, the all-encompassing, all the aspects, all of the gifts, all of the frequencies are there, and I guess available to help with.
Yeah, a prism comes when white is being split.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In a more general way, when you think about it, the prism shows all of the constituents of what's going into it.
Oh, like it reveals.
It does indeed.
I'm seeing that this is about both. I'm seeing the prism is actually Metatron's cube, and which is linked very much with the different dimensions in time. And I'm almost seeing this, the work in the sapphire cube then translates into Metatron's cube, because anything done in the sapphire cube and creating new day and infinity is all connected with time. So it's like one flows into another. So it's almost like a cube within a cube, and one thing impacts the other.
And so Metatron's cube would allow what's written on the sapphire cube to be translated along the timeline or multidimensional.
Yeah, yeah. It's as if we're being taught to know about these two cubes, as if this is the next part of maturity, to understand creating in infinity and understanding the timeline.
Can you speak a little bit more about exactly what the new day is? Is it around?
Well, we've done an encounter initially, and we asked specifically about that, and we just saw it was the first realm of infinity. We almost saw it like a blank canvas, where we could choose what we put on that. That's about all I know, really, and that's what I've experienced to date. It's as if I'm dancing on this canvas, and like lots of paints coming on it, but it means something. I think it's the expression of what I see as the new day, but I can't always articulate it at that time.
I've been shown the blank canvas, but I didn't know what to do. What do
Dancing always has a part to play, I find.
Well, it should. Goodness gracious. So we've talked a little bit in other encounters about sitting as kings, but as kings who've become sons who are operating as kings. And I don't know, because I saw thrones anyway, I don't know if anyone else did. And I wonder if that's the role that has access to this double cube and to impact that way.
This may not be relevant, but I'm just going to offer, just in case it is. We had seen before that there's so many different cubes inside Metatron's cube based on what your scroll is, and the different versions of the cube that you can build based on the pillars that you're given. So I'm just wondering, I'm saying all that to say, I wonder if this is like Jane said earlier, this is, there's a way to choose which cube we need to create what we need to create, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm seeing we don't choose the cube. What happens is a cube within a cube. So the moment we go in the sapphire cube, it's part of Metatron's cube. And I'm not sure if it's vice versa, but it kind of feels like it. Yeah, can you see the picture? Like you step in Metatron's cube, but that's actually in Metatron's, because really everything is in Metatron's cube.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything's inside Metatron's cube, and because so many things there's so many cubes inside Metatron's cube. Not that we choose which cube to create, but I remember previously the cube you are shown is based on the pillars. Remember we were doing pillars a long time ago?
Oh yeah.
Based on the pillars that are given you, and it gives you it's almost like a you know how you oh man, you know in the bank how you have a certain series of numbers to unlock something. It's similar to that. So everybody's cube isn't the same, but your cube basically is according to what you're assigned to do, or whatever you're trying to do. It's not that you pick it. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, the sapphire cube is yeah, I can see it very linked to the scroll.
Right. So it's almost like oh man, what do you call it when the number combination to get into a safe or something?
Yeah, sequence, is it?
Combination. Yeah, it's almost like a combination that we're giving to get the cube that we need to create what we're assigned to create.
Think of it like a vending machine. You know, if you choose A4, you get the crackers, but if you choose C78, you get the potato chips. And they're infinite combinations, but they're all part of the same thing.
That's right, because because everything is inside Metatron's cube, everything is created from a combination outside of that, from inside that cube.
So Metatron's cube is the vending machine?
Yep, I guess you could say that.
In this metaphor, yes. Bob is seeing something very interesting. He says he keeps seeing a ruby cube and a white diamond cube. The white diamond cube might be like the pretty one, because that's what diamonds do. They refract light, but a ruby one as well. And Zanessa says she's seeing umbrellas and white gloves and dancing ladies and hand fans. Her daughter is holding one in the natural, and she's seeing Lady Wisdom dressed up in a silk dress and a large brimmed fancy hat, long gloves, beautiful, beautiful. I feel like she's inviting. And I was sensing Wisdom and the handmaidens in kind of excitement, perhaps tea party mode at the beginning. So I'm not exactly sure what the role is there, but just to be acknowledging and accessing and asking for wisdom in all of this. Anybody got a Rubik's Cube?
Dr. O always uses the word, well, doesn't always use the word, I'm generalizing, but the word malleable, where it's malleable, which is kind of what we're describing.
Yeah, it flows.
Ooh, Kathy, okay. Let me say that because you've said that.
Yes.
Now, when I was thinking of that, what did come to me is how Dr. O describes the star houses and how you have to move them in a certain combination to move to the next step. You know, like he said in his book. Now, I'm not sure, but is there a certain combination of the star houses that we have to get? Because every time when I thought about the star houses too, I would think of the Rubik's Cube and how you have to shift them into a certain order to match the colors up. I don't know if anybody remember that Ascension, but just a thought.
Yeah. Mike Parsons also teaches on aligning star houses, chancellor's houses. Circle of the deep is what he calls the star houses.
I don't know if that's the same thing, but just want to submit that.
It's still that, it's the same concept anyway of
exactly, Quinn. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you, Quinn.
Alignment and getting things put together in proper order. So maybe
I don't know if this is that, but
maybe Bob's red cube is a clue to that. If there's, the prism cubes, and then when that's focusing on that red frequency, is there a pattern or something? I don't know.
Well, I'm seeing very, very strongly a Rubik cube. Do you know what a Rubik cube is? You know that like child's toy?
Yep.
Yeah, Simone just mentioned it.
Yep.
I saw the same thing, Jane.
Yeah, because I thought you said Rubik cube, but then you said Ruby. But I'm seeing this. Yeah, you said it.
It is Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. Oh, you said it. Yeah. Rubik's I missed that.
You shift it, and I've seen, when we've talked about the star houses before, I've saw a Rubik's Cube that had to be lined. The colors had to be lined up. They had to match, and I felt like we were shifting the star houses that way.
Oh, well, I'm not so sure the call is necessarily the star houses this time. I haven't seen that far, but I can see this Rubik cube, and I can see us messing around with the little cubes, trying to get this alignment of the colors, and that's doing something of the cube in the cube. That's doing something with the Sapphire cube and Metatron's cube. And it's almost like realigning the two so that you get one side of the wall of the cube is the same color.
Except it's multidimensional. I'm seeing it now too.
Wow, this is really interesting. I've never seen this before.
Well, Lady Wisdom has appeared. Maybe we should engage her.
Go ahead, Simone.
Yeah, I mean, I think just asking what's the mandate for this manipulation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so, okay, everybody ready to ask Lady Wisdom?
Yes, please.
Okay, so here it goes. So, Lady Wisdom, we just honor and acknowledge you right now, and we appreciate your tutelage. And we just ask you right now, what is our mandate here? What bullseye do we need to hit? And what do we need to do next? What needs to happen here? What are we seeing?
I just got, and I think it was to do with what Jane was just saying, bring it into place.
Okay.
Hold it in our hearts, and the clear intention will line everything up.
Okay, thanks, Quinn. Thanks, Elliot.
I was seeing it align with all blue on the one side.
Do you have a sense what that blue represents, Bill?
No, just Rubik's Cube with all blue on the one side was when it was aligned.
Okay.
It says to me, spirit of might. I've been engaging him a lot this week. Whew. Well, with permission, then, do we want to hold these prisms or these cubes in our hearts with the clear intention to bring it into place? Because it is our desire for these things to align, for things to be released, for the combinations to unlock.
Well, remember the sapphire is also blue.
Yeah, that's true. Go with the obvious. That's good.
I'm seeing that back to what Bob was saying, the ruby cube and the white diamond cube. I'm seeing we to align one side red, one side white, and then from what Bill's saying, one side blue. And that's the governmental act.
Mm.
I can actually see what it means, but I won't share it yet. But yeah, I see that's the alignment.
It looks like they are all adjacent sides.
Bob just said he's also sensing incense smoke. He can actually smell wisps of incense. He sees a table with incense burning on it.
So maybe this is a kingly and a priestly act of government.
I actually saw the cubes lining up, and then Jesus as the lion. They started to open. It's kind of hard to explain how they open, but he's walking through the cube, and we're kind of following him. That's what I'm seeing.
Oh, wow. Oh. So is it everyone's intention then to align this red, white, and blue as the governmental act that we...
Let's do it on 3.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't catch that, Elliot.
So I'm going to count from 3 down to 1, and on 0, we'll all intend to align it. 3, 2, 1, align.
Bob is saying, done. We just released something from heaven into the earth, and he saw a dam break.
I was reminded of that ascension we had last month with the locks, the the locks, like
The river going up.
Yeah. Yes. And I was reminded of that, and I still see those cubes being parted by Jesus as the lion, and it's kind of hard to describe what I'm seeing, but it reminded me of that river, the locks, the boat we were in with the locks unlocking and coming up. There goes another lock. So I'm not sure how that plays into what's going on here.
Well, I don't know what it means, but I'm having a real physical manifestation of heaviness and a sense of like following Jesus into like a tunnel almost that's formed around the open cubes, and don't know into what.
So I see we're to ask what the significance of the red, white, and blue means. And if one leads to the other.
Blood, purity, blue light beings? Lord, show us. Cody and Vanessa have written, and it's in quotes, therefore I prayed and understanding was given me. I called on God and the spirit of wisdom came to me. I preferred her to scepters and thrones, and I counted wealth as nothing in comparison to her. Neither did I liken her to any priceless gem, because all gold is but a little sand in her sight, and silver will be accounted as clay before her. I loved her more than health and beauty, and I chose to have her rather than light, because her radiance never ceases. All food things came to me along with her, and in her hands uncounted wealth. I rejoiced in them all because wisdom leads them, but I did not know that she was their mother. Wisdom is radiant and unfading and is easily discerned by those who love her and is found by those who desire her, which is from the apocryphal book, The Wisdom of Solomon. And we do value and honor. I'm sorry I want to get in the habit, especially in Ascensions, Lady Wisdom, of really engaging and honoring, because this is supposed to be the heaven and earth together, coordinated. And so we do ask, please enlighten us as to the meaning of what we've done and the meaning of the red and white and blue on the cubes. Cody and Vanessa are getting red equals blood. Is anyone else getting that or resonating?
Yes, I was getting that, and the white, the purity.
I'm thinking the blue is unity, but I'm not sure.
Cody says, blue, agave nectar is what I'm getting, and laughing. It's sweet, but it's not bad for you.
So I'm getting something about, with the blood and the red, the dual nature of Christ, meaning Son of God and the Son of Man.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think and what's the difference? Why is the two terms?
Well, Son of Man is a term used throughout the book of Enoch, which was speaking of Christ. And that was partly why the Jewish leaders freaked out, because when he went there talking about himself as the Son of Man, they knew that's what he was referencing. And because there's a lot of redemption stuff in Enoch around the Son of Man. So it's, yeah, which is, that's, to me, the Son of Man is him as our blueprint, and who we are to become. The human, but beyond human, the first estate, or whatever, however you want to say it. Cody saying, fully God and fully man. Friedrich and Elseby are saying, red, blue, and white were the colors in the tabernacle of Moses. White was for righteousness on the hangings of the outer fence, and so purity. Red for blood, the Son of Man, and blue, Son of Heaven or God. And blue has always been associated with heaven, mysticism, the spirit kind of realm.
Just think of the dilemma of what we're going through in the heavenly realms, that we've got people saying in eternity we're perfect, we're completely, and then we've got others saying we need to change our DNA, and how, and it's the, I see it's the reconciliation of these two concepts.
I was just about to say that, Jane. What I was going to say is that Jesus being the Son of Man is a way of saying that it's Adam redone or Adam done right. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, how we're in this Adamic, you know, we've just come out of this Adamic nature, and we're coming into and realizing this new man that Jesus opened up in redeeming us. And so we're walking into this, basically we're doing what Adam did all over again, but it's on the platform of Jesus. And so it's just this whole Adamic era done right. That's how I'm seeing it. And you know, the DNA is right this time. You know, our DNA has been cleansed through the blood. So that's how I'm seeing, you know, him, the significance of him being the Son of God and the Son of Man, and this red color on the Rubik's Cube. It's all been washed and done right. So this new day that we're starting is done right through Jesus and on the platform of Jesus, with the right DNA and everything done right.
That's really good, Simone. Cody and Friedrich have added a few things too. Cody had the revelation that when we breathe in, our blood gets oxygenated and turns red, and then we breathe out and our blood turns blue. So the veins and capillaries are, one's blue and one's red. Fully God and fully man. And then he says, and you breathe out to create. And Friedrich says, in the tabernacle, red mixed with blue makes purple. For the King of Kings, the colors were always in the same order: blue, purple, red. I feel something always rises up in me when with that, what Jane was saying, that you have to change your DNA. It's the sort of thing that I go, I'm sorry, I'm not capable of anything. I can take communion and I can rest in God and I can be one with him and soak in his presence. But he does the changing. That's, I don't know, that's striving language, and it raises my hackles.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think this is what we're being shown here.
So perfection is the image of Jesus as he is right now. And that's the image that we are in perfection, right? So that is that image which is Son of God, Son of Man. We are Son of God, we are Son of Man, right? In the perfection of Jesus as he is.
Amen.
Oh, I just don't know how to articulate this well. I might say it wrong, but here goes. I might have to refine it. Wisdom, I just draw on you to just help me articulate what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this clash, and it's the clash of descending from eternity for those that reside in eternity who have now residing out of the complete Son of God nature of Jesus, and those that are ascending to get to that through ascension, and they believe they are transforming their DNA, but actually it's more of an awareness of who we always were in eternity, more than transformation. But it feels like transformation because it's an awakening, but the awakening feels like, oh, I've been transformed, but in reality you always were perfect in eternity. You're just getting back to that. But because we've got the Son of Man aspect in the dual nature of Christ, this is the conflict, and this is why you get some in one camp and others in another camp. And in reality it's both, and I see it's almost like we have to embrace the Son of Man nature and the Son of God nature in Jesus and accept the two and not go one or the other. And it's when those two strands combine that we get the biggest, fullest picture. And this is why I'm seeing this is a clashing, because there are those that saying we know we always got to keep transforming our DNA, and then those going, no, we're perfect in eternity and we don't need to do anything. And then the other people go, no, but look at the life. How can you say we don't do anything? And then you get this clashing going on, and it's the red. The red leads to the white, so the embrace the dual nature of Christ leads to the whiteness, which is the purity, which is then the one combined, one new man, which then allows us to, the blue I see is almost like the blue of the sapphire cube, which allows us then to be able to write on the sapphire cube the fullness of the heavenly blueprint, because we then grasp the fullness of the heavenly blueprint. And the problem has been most of us have not grasped the height of the blueprint. So we've come in at a lower level and we're grappling with the lower level revelation, which is clouding the big picture. So that's why we don't know what to write on the sapphire cube, because it's still of a fallen nature, it's still incomplete. Are seeing the big blueprint. So I see it's almost like that what we've done with the cubes is we've aligned these two clashing forces to become this one new understanding, which I think is concurs with Donna saying unity in the blue. It's unity. It's I see it as well as the blue light being, because that's when you become the blue light being, when you can grasp the Son of Man and the Son of God natures and see the two in harmony.
You said that very well, Jane.
I thought that came from wisdom, not me, because I find this really hard theologically to get my head around.
No, it's my part of my journey has always been, the truth lies at the both and.
Yeah, you're so right. When you said that the other week, Quinn, it really was a revelation for me that I'd been battling with either or, and so much of it is the both.
Mm-hmm.
You're so right.
And so we have to be expanded because, in our lower nature, we always have a tendency one way or the other, right? And so to be expanded to encompass, and like you say, that is what allows the big picture to be perceived.
Think about it this way. There are some on one side, some on another, but when God comes in, he doesn't take one side, he takes over. And I really see that here.
Mm.
Is this why we saw at the beginning the clear cube with the prisms coming out of it? And the fact that we were on top of the mountain. So is our governmental act here tonight to encompass all of this inside? I mean, to bring agreement to these two or embrace these two? I'm still trying to get what exactly is the governmental act, is what I'm saying.
Well, I think we've done the governmental act by doing the changing of the cube, the Rubik cube, to the align the colors.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, because I think I can see this flow now, and the flow from the blue to the white to the the red to the white to the blue. I can see this flow now because they're aligned, whereas before they were all mixed up on this cube, and everyone was confused and they didn't know what they were doing, and it was all mishmash. And I can see these three principles now are clarified. They're clearer to see for people, so people will be able to see the red, the white, and the blue instead of this bit of everything. So I think we'll get less of this clashing if I can see like this. I can see these descending, these kings descending, and the ones ascending. I saw them clashing before. Now I can see them harmoniously meeting in a cube. As if there is going to be a new level of unity among us now, that we can all sort of talk the same language.
Amen.
I see them squared.
Sorry, can you say that again, Elliot?
I said I see them at the middle square dancing.
Getting along really good. And see, orchestrated music to the order given and flowing and beautiful and fun. And wow, that sounds heavenly to me.
Because unity to dance together.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we need some unity. There's been too much clashing of swords. It's been hard. Woo. This is good. This is so good. Because the clashing was going to cause denominational type behavior, and the splitting of those who believed in that and those that didn't believe in the other.
Oh, we're so done with that.
Yeah, we cannot have that. We've all got to get on the same page, and there is just one page.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's Bench of One language. There is just one page. Hallelujah.
I see that the white is about purity, but that the unity takes place in the white, and it has to be pure because unity outside of Jesus is kind of the purpose of, like what happened at the Tower of Babel. The Lord confused their languages and split them up because he said they were too they're able to do anything. But that the unity has to happen in that place of purity, and I think Friedrich said that white was the colors of the in a tabernacle of Moses, or so righteousness of the hangings or outer fence, and white is also the righteous acts of the saints, clothed with white robes. That's in Revelation.
I think what you just said, Cody, is very profound. Almost too profound to get my head around it at the moment. But yeah, I'm really resonating with what you said.
And where two come together, where two agree, it creates a gate. And where the red and the blue will agree and unite, it creates a gate for revelation and heaven and love and unity to be released into the earth.
Bob had written also the seven spirits connection with colors, which is interesting too. The red with the spirit of the Lord, and dominion, and blue associated with the spirit of might. Well, white, as we've said, encompasses all of the colors. So I wonder if there's something to that as well. I think the unity and purity comes because when our hearts are pure and our eyes are pure, to the pure, all things are pure. So as we see each other, and even if the disagreements are there, the perception is purity. And so honor can be, rather than responding to dishonor with further dishonor, purity can be infused into that and can beget honor back. So that purity, it's that, I'm probably not saying this well, but you can't see me, but I'm making a circle with my hand because it's like it's flowing. Honor needs to be given to be received, and purity of perception is foundational to unity that way.
It seems like it all comes down to love, which is what I think a conglomeration of all of us, of what we all are saying, is it's about love. And it's like leaving no son of God behind, or, just not allowing any separation.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, see, separation, that's really resonating. And what I'm seeing is the separation is happening because we've got some residing from eternity where they've cut off the shadow of death. And so that's anything other less than eternity is the full expression of the purity. And if you reside in a lower age or realm from that, that is when you feel like you have to do things to keep transforming your DNA, and you have to keep doing more and more because you sense that lack of purity. And the fact is, it's just getting back and asking what is the key to reside from eternity so that you step out of the shadow of death. And because we're still under the shadow of death, that's where we discern the decay. So I see this as helping people understand these distinctions, because there's been a fighting of this, I'm not led to these realms, I'm led. And I can feel it's the soul crying out, saying, no, I will not be squashed like this. I'm ruling, I'm dominating, I will not be squashed. And you get a contraction of the soul in eternity. It sort of shrinks and the spirit dominates. And that's when it's easy in eternity to reside in the complete bench of three, with the soul under your body under the spirit. And it naturally forms in that hierarchy. Whereas outside of eternity, it doesn't. It's all mixed, mashed up, and you have to keep putting your body and your soul under your spirit, because it keeps going out of alignment. But it's beautifully aligned when you reside in eternity. It naturally goes in that hierarchy. And this is the understanding I think we have to grasp, to then be able to write the full blueprint on the sapphire cube, because you will write a incomplete blueprint otherwise on the sapphire cube, and it will be destroyed, because that's the difference between a set heaven and a malleable heaven. The malleable is malleable. It has to be malleable and has to have the ability to be destroyed if it's not the full blueprint. Otherwise, we'd have suns going around creating chaos. And the set heaven is where it's the absolute full truth from eternity. And that's what we're needing to tap into and release, that full absolute truth.
Yes.
I've forgotten where I'm going with this, but I think this is an explanation of something that Cody was sharing with the blue and the white and the purity and the blue, and that's what I'm sensing. It's some explanation of that.
So what is the key to living fully in eternity?
Well, that's the question. And I think that's what everyone has to ask. And I don't never actually, it's just come to me, I've never asked if there's one key thing for the ecclesia as a whole. Wow, that's a huge question.
That is massive. Oh my.
It is, isn't it? Whether we should ask that now, that's huge.
Yes.
Oh, we need wisdom. We tangle with your wisdom. Oof.
And she's like, sit down, have a cup of tea. We got this.
more relaxed when I see it as a tea party.
I don't know if this goes along with it, but I keep seeing Jesus as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, and he's in that cube, and we're there with him. And so I looked up. I just put in Lion, the tribe of Judah, and this might not even go along with this ascension, but I just want to throw it out there. But it says in I believe it's Revelation 5:5, that, let's see, weep not, behold, the Lion, the tribe of Judah, the root of David, who has overcome to open the book and to loose its 7 seals. I don't know if that resonates with anyone, but that's what I just keep seeing Jesus as that Lion of the tribe of Judah.
Thank you. Maybe that's part of the key, having that complete surrender to being ruled by that lion.
I just want to say I saw this earlier and I think it was when Quinn was talking. I saw Jesus leave the 99 to go after the one. Again, when we were talking about love and the unity and just how really important this unity is, and that we not, it was when we were talking about not leaving anybody behind.
That's beautiful. Bob had a neat thing he shared too. He said he completely agreed with what Jane was saying, except he's not seen his soul growing smaller. He's seen his spirit just getting larger, and it's now larger than his physical body, which is a bit strange to get used to. If that's part of our manifest sonship, that light coming through. Well, Jane, did you ask the big question?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I still haven't got an answer. I mean, I can share what happened to me in terms of residing there, but I don't want to lead it too much if there's some other big act.
Well, is this a big act for us to? I think it's our desire, and I believe it's the desire of every believer to reside from eternity. It's what we're all desiring, whether or not we believe we deserve it or our soul's acting up. There's always that longing.
Well, I would disagree. From what I've seen of other people, they're fighting it and they don't have that longing. And they're saying they're not led that way.
I think if you go deep enough, they are.
I think that's the issue, is not seeing the extent of which you're not seeing the full blueprint, and the extent to which your personal government is so strong that you actually believe you're being fully led at this point by God, and in reality you're not.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
It's too painful to accept, because you've given your whole life saying I follow God, and it's too painful to believe that you're not doing that. But I think this is the dying to self, death part, is we all have to get to that point where we can agree none of us have submitted the whole personal government to God.
Mm-hmm.
Until we take that final act of going into eternity. And that's why it feels like you're absolutely being crucified on the cross. It is not a pleasant thing.
Mm-hmm.
When the journey, once you get there, it's wonderful, but the journey is absolutely crucifying every morsel on that cross of personal government that has resided in us.
So what's coming to me as you're saying this, Jane, is perhaps our act now is for that light to shine and reveal, and that deception, that self-deception, the pride, the resistance to absolute surrender in us and in the ecclesia as a whole. That sounds like perhaps is step one.
Well, I'm just saying I'm really feeling like we just need to press in for this revelation. It is massive. It needs revelation on it. And I see it we're well capable of hearing it. We'll just press in and believe we can discern this.
Okay, well, here we are pressing in.
I actually heard before Donna spoke that she was going to speak regarding this, and that had to do with the line of Judah and the passage in Revelation. And what I'm getting encouraged to spend more time engaging about has to do with the seals. So there you go.
Yeah, there's definitely something around the seals. I thought that.
Yeah, and there's 7 churches. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the final seal? Final seal. You should get the Bible out. Find out what the final seal is.
Yeah, on it, Friedrich. He's usually got them right there.
You're our scripture man, Frederick.
I'm just quickly looking it up.
But isn't the principle that the final seal has to be opened and then that's it?
I think so, but we'll wait and find out. Thank you, Friedrich.
So it might not matter what that final seal is called. It might just be that. I'm just asking now whether it's that the principle final seal.
He's got Revelation 8:1, and when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. What's verse 2? I've got a Bible here too.
It's followed by the blowing of the seven trumpets.
Okay, so there's silence and then trumpets.
Yes.
What happens after the seventh trumpet?
Well, the seventh trumpet is the final trumpet.
Okay. So Revelations 8:1-6. And when he'd opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the seven angels which stood before God, and to them were given seven trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and we had Bob smelling incense. And there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of all the saints upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense, which came with the prayers of the saints, ascended up before God out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. And the seven angels which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound. Dude.
Wow. Oof. Isn't that funny? We saw incense before.
Mm-hmm. It all comes together somehow.
Ooh, wow, the 144,000 is connected to these seals.
Huh?
Ooh, it's a lot here.
Go ahead, Simone.
I'm just saying this is something to definitely begin processing. I think like Elliot was saying, I think it's a whole lot here.
Mm.
I'm just seeing in chapter 7 here that how at verse 4 this is connected to the 144,000, the sealed of Israel. So I detect there's some serious revelation here.
And I wonder if the whole of the ecclesia can't enter into eternity because of this seventh seal hasn't been opened.
Well, if Jesus is the lamb that was slain and has the authority to open the seven seals, then so do we. We have the authority to open the seven seals.
Ooh. Wow.
Bill, I was thinking it, Bill, but I wasn't ready to say it out loud.
It seems to me that we ought to consider, was the alignment of all the cubes, was that the seal? That's.
Oh my God.
Wowzers.
And I think that's why I saw Jesus open the cube and us walk through the cube with him. So we're in the cube right now with Jesus as the Lion of tribe of Judah.
Also, if the cube is the seal, then Jesus was breaking the seal and we were going with him, breaking the seal and entering in.
That's right.
Oh my word. That's huge.
And that's why he gave it to us in a metaphor. Otherwise, we would have been.
My spirit's freaking out that I'm not worthy of this. Oh.
It's okay, honey. They're not seals. It's just Rubik's cubes. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a child's game. Don't worry. Not like it has an impact on everything that's ever been and ever will become. But it does. It does indeed.
Oh. I was all right changing a few cubes on the Rubik cube. I was all right with that. Oh. But you know, anything that's done in Metatron's cube has a huge, huge impact. On the timeline.
Praise God. Bob says, does that mean that the silence in heaven for the span of half an hour has just begun? I have no idea how time is measured in heaven.
Oh. Well, should we just definitely ask? I mean, have we done something with the seal?
Since we're here, that's what I'm thinking.
Bob says, let's dive in. Does someone want to articulate that? Jane?
No, I think you should go to someone else.
Well, Donna saw us walking through it with Jesus. So, Donna?
Go ahead and ask, hun.
What do I do? Ask what? Have this about the seal?
Yeah, have we broken the seventh seal?
I thought we had when we were in the cube with Jesus as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He was the one worthy to break it, and we walked in with him.
Really?
So I'm thinking that it's been broken, and we're there with him.
Oh my word.
And as we're standing there, I was just totally vibrating.
Yeah, I'm on fire too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, I'm sure shaking now.
I believe he broke. And you know, it's all multidimensional, and how does that shake down and whatever, but whatever piece this was real and big.
It was real big.
That too. Bob, I don't know if you're able to unmute and ask, but if you wanted to, I still feel like it's appropriate to ask Jesus, can you tell us about what happened here?
Are you talking to me?
I was talking to Bob.
Oh.
Participating via chat and seemed really into this, so he might be in a situation where he's not able to.
Oh, okay.
But I was just putting out the offer.
Can you speak, Bob?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Hey, thanks. Why don't you go ahead and ask?
Father, we stand before you, anxious to be, to fill the place of participation that you have opened for us. Lord, we humbly ask for your revelation, understanding, wisdom, Lord, that you would assign to us whatever agency of heaven we need to understand what's happening right now. We desire to step into the place and stand in the shoes you've ordained for us, and we thank you for it. Glory to the Lord.
Oh, yes, I've just got Revelation. This is Revelation 8, so this is actually quite old, because we're operating around the Revelation chapters 12 and 13, and even when on the timeline, we're operating from the new heaven and the new earth. So we shouldn't be shocked that this has been completed. I think it's just, actually, it was always complete. It's just, we've just brought to our awareness, and that we've had a part to play in it along the timeline.
Oh, wow, that still resonates.
Isn't it awesome how all those time circles come together?
Yeah, I still can't get my head around it. Oh.
So this happened in Metatron's cube, so it absolutely could be anywhere on the timeline. Huh.
And I think it's all part of the journey of helping us understand how far we're getting. So it's almost like we have to backtrack sometimes, because what we're doing in infinity eternity is way along, is outside of time, but if we can backtrack and realize that some of the elements in the Bible have actually taken place on that timeline, we're not sitting there waiting for them just to miraculously happen, then we can get our head around of the sheer amazing impact of what we can do in eternity infinity, because we're not saying, oh yeah, but this hasn't happened, that hasn't happened. I can actually see that was the purpose, because that was really messing me up a while back. I was like, where are we in the scriptures? Is that even the right question? Because I was asking if, with the huge thing that happened on September the 23rd, and the planets, and that seemed to so align with Revelation 12. And I was asking, are we actually at Revelation 12 in terms of manifestation? But then I wasn't even sure if that was the right question, because does it matter with the timeline? And I'm still not sure the answer to that. But
So I feel like I've just been given some revelation about how they geographically, groups and cities and people groups and even individuals especially are actually living in different parts of the timeline. And so where some of us have lived out of the perfect age, and we've already actually walked through a lot of this stuff, where then some people have not. And so, because can you imagine if it were all released on the earth all at once, what would happen?
Hmm.
And we are heaven's gates to release these things.
And as you said that, I had the picture of the window in infinity and pouring out through.
Are we doing some kind of reconciling here? Are we doing the act to bring the unity that we talked about earlier? Meaning, you know, how Jane said we were in chapter 12. It seems like we're going back to a previous chapter. Is it to reconcile where others are and where we were to bring unity?
Mm.
Yes, I agree with that.
Mm. Mm.
I do too, and I think I keep reading about the 7 churches, and I'm sensing that they have now, they probably already have, but I'm sensing that they've all come into unity. They're in the cube with us, and there's like a big party going on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no more separation from the different churches in the book of Revelation.
That's good, Donna. I just got something. Do you all remember that Facebook post that Ian Clayton put up on October 23rd? Of where he said that there was a tipping point. There was a we're coming to a tipping point of whether you believed it or not. As sons, we would be able to experience those different ages. So what just came to me is this part, what we're doing right now, allowing that tipping point to happen, whether people believe it or not, these ages are unlocking.
Oh, that is good, Simone.
Yeah, and that's the Rubik's Cubes opening. There was a bunch of them, right? And so there was the seals, but also the ages.
Yes, and it's not just for us, it's for everybody, no matter where they are. And really what it's doing is removing the gap between us so that we can come into unity.
And I think a huge part of this too, what just was quickened to me, was the parable of the workers. And, you know, there's the people who labored in the field all day long, and then the master hired some more guys at lunchtime, and then he hired some more guys at tea time, and then he hired some more guys right before supper. And he paid them all equally. And the guys at the first, or the pioneers or whatever, were like, hey, we've been working at this way longer. And he's like, no, it's my money. I get to pay everybody equally. I hired them and I hired you, and you agreed to this payment, and this is the payment everybody gets. And that's another basis for our equality and unity.
Oh, that is good.
If this is what we're engaged in, this is serious kingdom work. What this means is we're preparing the way for the harvest that is to come. There is a very large harvest on the horizon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I feel it every once in a while. It's really huge and it's coming like a freight train.
Yeah.
That will not be stopped.
Wow.
It's coming.
Well, and the sons living out of the different ages, whether they believe it or not, and manifesting that's part of setting the stage for it.
I remember we used to talk about this a long time ago, how it would just be seamless for people to move forward, and this is that. We're realizing this now, which is like off the chart amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I do see that. I see a time will come when people will just embrace eternity just like that, and they will not have all this fighting and dilemmas and like backlash talking about ages and
Yeah, skip the process.
It's kind of like the 500-year anniversary of the Reformation. Just a different type of Reformation.
Yes, and the issue actually is the difference between religion and simple faith in what God has said. Just like Martin Luther and his thesis on the door there at Wittenberg.
yes. I mean, can you remember the argument they used to have about faith and works? And people would just go, no way you can just say it's faith. It's way too easy and simple. And it was massive for people to accept that. It was huge at the time when works was so well accepted. And I can feel it now in my spirit, like, you're really saying all the stuff we've been through, people don't have to go through? How can they possibly get the size of their spirit man to know how to create in eternity without all that other stuff? But I can almost see something in the horizon that is it will be new dimensions of eternity, infinity that will quickly accelerate people's what's the word? Intelligence, IQ, spiritual intelligence, such that they will be able to cope with the magnificence and the size of the mandates.
Yes, and to me, this is the picture of the workers, the guys who were hired just before quitting time.
Yeah, yeah.
We're given the same tools as the people at the beginning, right? To do the job, to do the work. They were equipped.
And the issue that those who had worked had was you didn't have to work as hard as we did.
So let's not do those.
And the real issue is you didn't have to work at all.
Yeah, I mean, why do we want people to go through all these multiple steps that is really hard intellectually? And
the issue is we didn't have to work at all either.
That's it. We just didn't know it.
That's a big key to multiplication quickly too, is for it to be simple and to be easy, and for people to quickly be able to step into it.
Yeah, yeah.
I see the cloud of witnesses and our men in white linen rejoicing. He's like, okay, you guys are getting it.
So back to the question of what's the governmental act to bring everyone into eternity?
The answer is The key to remaining dwelling in eternity permanently is humbling our hearts to the absolute rule of God, saying that God has chosen us to dwell and rule there. We are not worthy of it, but He has said we are worthy of it, and therefore we are worthy, and we choose to go there.
Can you say that again?
It's faith and works. It's humbling our hearts to understand that God is the absolute ruler. He gets to choose who is going to rule in eternity. His choice is that all of us are to rule in eternity and to dwell there permanently, and that it takes faith in the work of Jesus and no work at all to get there. And that takes a humbling of our hearts, saying, okay, I accept that Jesus did that for me, and I choose to simply receive it.
So that's just people. So another way to say that, Bill, is people just simply stepping into this tipping point.
Yes, and
that's been created. It's literally just a realization by faith.
Yes, and it's going to happen as a revelation. When you get it, you get it.
Yeah, it's just a clear consciousness of who they really are and what's been made available to it, and literally saying yes to it and stepping into it.
And up until that point, every one of us is busy working for it, whether we realize it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And saying it's not fair for somebody else to be there without having to work as hard as I've had to work.
Yeah, that's really resonating. I'm just seeing it's really, our spirit's always resided in eternity, but we've not realized it. So it's just accepting that truth facilitates that complete living out of that realm. But if we're constantly fighting that element, we're saying, oh no, we can only operate with doing this or that, or this way of operating, protocol. We're fighting that concept, and that's what keeps us in the lower ages. And so it's actually quite a big deal to accept that for everyone. But nevertheless, it's a simple thing in itself.
We all have so much invested in protocol of one kind or another.
Yeah. And I know why. It's because the protocol allows the personal government to be alive.
Exactly.
If you can choose to do something, you're still in control, and you're controlling the speed and the process and everything. You're still in control with protocol. And I think that's what I saw a couple of days ago, actually. I heard protocol must go. And I was like, whew, it's going to be so hard for so many people.
It's so nice to hear you saying this. For 3 years, I've been going, ah! Why are you making it so hard?
You were right all along, Quinn Columba, and I acknowledge it because I was one of the ones that was working so hard at it within your sight and your hearing. I know I was.
Oh, you were not the worst of them, Bill. Don't worry.
Yes, but I was very prominently, visibly doing it.
All good, brother. All good.
And everybody else, you should follow me doing this.
It's there's a validity to it in the sense that if you can, I see we have to have answers for these big questions, you can't just turn around and go, oh, well, you just reside in eternity and that's it. That's all you need to know. Because that's just, for some, it's too big a leap. You know, if you can't answer the big questions, and I see what this journey has done is allowed us to answer all the big questions. And that is really valuable wisdom to explain to people in a more accelerated way. But without that, if we hadn't have understood those stages, we could not have reconciled some of the verses in the Bible, and that was why we had to grasp the timeline, because we were all struggling as to, oh, if you took this verse, does that mean we actually do that now, or was that an old protocol? And none of us could answer that because we didn't understand any timeline concepts. And everyone was so vulnerable without understanding the timeline. They were all like, oh, well, that says that scripture, therefore I must do it.
Yeah,
and
it was the grid. Ian talks about the grid, and for the protocol, I think was that you could sort of use as a thing in heaven, and just being on fire, knowing it was truth. And my brain was like, I have nowhere for this to land in my life. And I think that there's an acceleration of that process coming as well.
Yeah.
But the protocol was a tool that served a purpose, but it is not an end in itself, and it's being made that in some cases.
Yes, we must all be willing to tear up the protocol and move on. And I've actually just deleted a few pages yesterday, and I just felt it was dragging people down to too lower an age, so I deleted them.
So I'm seeing that it's almost like if somebody asks us, what must I do? The answer is you must start on the journey until you wake up and labor to enter into rest. And when you enter into rest, you will come to this place, and then you are there.
Yeah, I think that seat of rest teaching is so key. Yeah, in keeping your head out of the striving part and the surrender.
Can I share a little testimony?
Yes, dude.
Okay. So when we first started, you guys were seeing Rubik's cubes, I told Lady Wisdom, I said, those have always been too complex for me. They're too complicated. I can't even see myself being able to do one. And so she, I told you I was at the tea party. She handed me a cup of tea, and she said, it's a really simple thing. Just sit here and wait with me. And I had to go away kind of with kids and stuff. And when I was in the kitchen, I felt I need to come back in here, because the word was like that some people labor and work to get to a certain place, and others he just gives it to right at the end in a moment. And I came in, and you guys were actually sharing that story. And so I thought that was really funny, because that's what he's saying. He's saying, like Lady Wisdom said, it was showing me it's a really simple concept that I'm giving tonight. And she was basically saying it goes beyond any kind of protocol. It's to sit in my presence, to look at my eyes, to look at my beauty, to behold. And it's the same with Jesus, And so I was just like, wow, that's so cool that you guys are getting the exact same thing in a roundabout way that she gave me when I was in here cooking. So anyway.
An hour later.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous.
Yeah, and I sensed that invitation to look in my eyes from Lady Wisdom too early. It's weird when you start out and it's like, where are we going? That's sort of what I'm getting. Is that what everybody else is getting? Blah, 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 blah. But that's more of our growing in the, yes, it's okay. Got it.
But it's good to know the stages, because what happens is, if you don't understand some of those things, and then somebody or comes up with, well, what about this? What about that? Suddenly you go into a panic. Oh, this is all too simple. I can't, what am I doing? This scripture says this and this. And then you can go in this tailspin down. And I found that as well, that this was, for me, this journey has been so, so good. I could not, I heard people just saying, all you have to do is release a frequency in eternity 3 years ago. And I was like, oh, sorry, I can't just accept that without reconciling all these other elements. We have to have an answer for the people who've talking about the courts. We have to have an answer about people who are talking about just ruling on Mount Zion, and there are just we've got so many who are just doing, going into heaven and seeing traditional churches completely acceptable, and or they're just saying, yeah, well, we're in heaven anyway. It's because all these people, we have to be able to understand why they're doing that, and how we can answer them, even if it's in our own heads, even if we're not justifying it to a particular person, because I think that's where we will get the self-doubt will come in. And I now personally feel completely comfortable residing in eternity without those things dragging me down anymore. And so in that sense, my spirit man is huge, that I know that I have the authority, the ability to govern, rule there. I'm not just there because someone said I can be there.
And two things, Jane. One is your scroll required you to go that route.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And the second one, and other scrolls do not, and those that are coming, their scroll will not. And the second is, to anyone who begins the journey, if they do go all the way to the end, they will get to eternity. So you can take the long way or the short way. If you stay on the path all the way to the end, you will get to eternity. But if you choose to get accelerated at some point and just come to rest, you will be there immediately.
If you can handle it.
Yeah.
I think there's such a difference between striving and trying to do things in the natural, in our own strength, or following a protocol, or there's such a difference between that and between walking in intimacy with God. That's where I see the big difference between the two. Walking in intimacy with God, I'm in that place Jesus took us into, the fullness, that I'm in that place there in eternity. I'm in that place of rest. In and out of that relationship with him, different dynamics happen and things are revealed and there's growth taking place, and it's a flow. On the other hand, if I'm trying to go by a format and trying to make a thing work, or think I'm expected to do this or expected to do that for, to gain something, then I'm operating in a works mentality.
Cody,
That's so true.
Added something really cool here.
Yeah.
First, Bob said, but we all with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, we are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. And I think that's like sitting and looking in wisdom's eyes kind of thing. And then Cody writes, I feel like the answer for new people is to lead them by the hand to Jesus and to Lady Wisdom and let them see for themselves. He says, Bill told me the other day when I was puzzled about something, ask Lady Wisdom, and it shifted everything for me personally to go higher than earthly perspectives. I love this group for that reason. And that's exactly it. And that's why I'm so glad to see us in this ascension, engaging Lady Wisdom directly, even in the midst. Sometimes I would get uncomfortable when we were all asking each other what we thought it meant. And I'm like, well, we acknowledged her presence. Maybe we should ask. And I think there's just a lot of wisdom in that, Cody. So thanks. And then Bob wrote, in the end, it will not matter how many books we wrote or how many conferences. What matters is how close our hearts grew into a love relationship with the Lord. Mm. And that, yeah, and these things flow.
Mm. Very good. Do you all feel complete? Should we turn the recording off now?
I just want to say on the recording, thank you, Lady Wisdom, for your help, for your participation. Thank you, beloved three, Father, Son, and Spirit, for leading us into this. And we trade all of this on the sea of glass for anything that wasn't quite right or in alignment. We trust you to correct that. And we just ask for deeper revelation and fruit from it for us and others.
Yes, and I just want to express my intense gratitude for the honor of being part of this for all of us and of the wisdom downloaded. We just honor all of heaven for granting us this immense privilege. We say we don't take it for granted. We know how immense this is, and I'm just so, so grateful.